The advice and opinions expressed by the host of Autism Live and her guests are meant solely as suggestion and should not be in any way construed as child-specific advice. The Center for Autism and Related Disorders advises working with a board-certified behavior analyst who has experience with autism before starting any intensive behavioral intervention. Any choices you make in determining your child's treatment are completely at your own discretion.
Good morning and welcome to Autism Live. I'm Shannon Penrod. We're webcasting to you live from the Center for Autism and Related Disorders headquarters in Tarzana, California. So thrilled to be here with you this morning. We're going to be with you here live for the next 2 hours talking about autism. And we're looking at autism from a 360-degree perspective. So whether you're a parent, teacher, practitioner working with an individual who's on the autism spectrum, or you yourself are on the spectrum, we hope to be a resource for you here and to add to the conversation. Now, we encourage you, this entire show is meant to be interactive, and we love it. In fact, we find nothing more gratifying than when you guys write in and talk to us about things. We've got a couple of different stories that you guys have brought to our attention here on the show that we're going to be talking about in just a little while. But we're going to start off by having Emily remind you of some of the different ways that you can get a hold of us here and some of the different ways that you can watch the show. While she's doing that, I'm going to remind you that today there's only one place to watch us live. That's at www.autism-live.com. There are lots of ways to watch the show recorded. Emily's showing you some of the different ways. But when you go to autism-live.com, the show plays there 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. We just interrupt that feed for 2 hours live, Monday through Friday, 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. Eastern Time, 10 a.m. to noon Pacific Time. And I'll count on you to do the math wherever you are in the world, because we know we're seen in over 103 countries, I think, now. So in any case, when you go to autism-live.com, there is a white box there. You can put your cursor there. It's free. Type whatever you want in there, hit enter, and it shows up magically here on my screen. You do not have to log in. Nobody's taking your credit card information. Nobody's taking your email address so that we can spam you later on. None of that's happening. You just type in. Now, the good thing about that is it's immediate, quick, fabulous, and we don't know anything about you. If you need for us to know something about you because you're asking for information and you want us to email you, then you do have to give us that information. I can edit it out before I post it, and I will do that. I also want to say to you, many of you have written into us and said, why can't I watch it live on my iPad or my tablet? This would be nice if I could do this. Why can't you do this? And we have a fix for that. We have a really quick fix for that. Excuse me. I got so excited I got verklempt. If we get to 1,000 subscribes on our YouTube page in the next couple of days, we will be able to stream that to you live from YouTube, and then you'll be able to watch from your devices. We're really close. We're within striking distance of it, so we need for you to go and subscribe and talk to your friends and family members and ask them to subscribe to the YouTube page, because that's the way that's going to happen. So those of you who've been asking for that, I need you to get behind it here. Help us out. Make sure that you subscribe to the YouTube page and tell others to do that as well, and then we'll be able to do that for you fairly quickly. We also have a contest right now. If you go on our Facebook page, we've given you a way to give incentive to let people know that we're looking for YouTube subscribers. We have a lovely bottle of One Hope wine, which benefits autism, and we also have Temple Grandin's new book, The Autistic Brain, and we have a minted new fresh game, Cornered, from Endless Games. You can win all three of those, and the way you enter to win those is by sharing that Facebook page, that Facebook post, about those three things, and let other people know. But please, when you're sharing it, encourage them, tell them that they need to subscribe to the YouTube page, because that's what's going to get it done and have you be able to watch us live in other formats. Alrighty. There was something else I was going to say about that, and I don't know. Oh, I know what I was going to say. When you go to the Facebook page, of course, please like us. We appreciate likes, just like you do. And there is a way to sign up for the free newsletter. I mentioned that we're not sending you stuff when you you don't have to log in on the Autism-Live page. You just put in your question. But if you do want to get information about more contests that we do that we don't disclose on the show and behind the scenes information about Autism Live, then you want to subscribe to the newsletter, which comes out once a month. So it's not going to be something that jams up your inbox. I think you'll like it. It's one page. Emily does a really good job on it. It's very colorful, and it's got some really cool links and information, resources, and some stuff on that you don't get otherwise. So subscribe to the newsletter. All right. I like to start every show and remind you that I am not an expert in autism. Au contraire. I am a mom, and my son was diagnosed with autism at the age of 2.5. He's now 10. He is a remarkable boy. He's the light of my life, and I am so lucky. Can I just say again and again and again that I'm one of the luckiest people on the face of the earth because I lucked out. I asked the right person the right question on the right day and happened to live in the right state, in the right location, at the right time so that my son qualified to get a bunch of funding for ABA therapy. And he got access to the best that there is from the Center for Autism and Related Disorders. And I really honestly believe that I don't believe, I know that has made all the difference, and that my child is fully included now in 5th grade. He knows what he wants to be when he grows up. He talks about when he goes to college. He has his friends. He speaks, and that none of that. When people say, oh, well, your child must have been high functioning to begin with. And in fact, that's not the case. My child had lost virtually all of his functional communication. He had like 5 words that sometimes just a word would pop out, but it wasn't related to anything. And he was a ball of challenging behavior, self-injurious, hurting other people. He was violent, and it was overwhelming. But we got help. And I know that help is available in different formats for all of you. We talked about this a little bit yesterday. We hit Autism 101 about what do you need to do to get started. And if you missed that, make sure that you watch it on the YouTube page. But I know that there's help available for all of our kids. If that sounds foreign to you, I want to reiterate that we know that there's progress that is available. Everybody's going to end up in a different place. So I'm not saying, oh, it's one size fits all and it's cookie cutter and your child ends up here. Nobody can say that to you. That doesn't exist. But what I can say to you is that there is progress available for all of us and for all of our kids. That is no longer the puzzle piece that's missing. It is a different prescription for each one of our kids, but we know that ABA therapy helps all of our kids make progress. So we talk about things that can help us get to that progress here on the show. We do talk about ABA, but it is by no means the only thing that we talk about because there's a lot to do and there's a lot to handle, whether you are the person on the spectrum or your child or your student or your client is the person on the spectrum. There's a lot going on emotionally, financially, and just in terms of learning new behaviors and diminishing challenging behaviors so that we can breathe and live a life and not be injured. We get it here. So I hope that you will participate with us. Tell us what you need. Tell us what's working for you. Tell us what's not working for you in your world of autism. Now, we like to start every morning with something that we refer to as the jargon of the day. There's a reason for this, and I mentioned yesterday how important it is to make friends with the jargon. It's overwhelming in the beginning, but if we do it a little bit at a time, what you'll see is that very quickly you start to understand what's being said. And when you understand, you're a better team member. You're going to get more of that progress. So, we call it like the morning warm-up that we're going to do the jargon of the day. Yesterday, our jargon term was mass trial. Today, I mentioned this yesterday, what it was going to be. It's random rotation. So yesterday we talked about when we were first introducing a concept, like if we're trying to teach the concept red to a child, and we might start out with a 2-dimensional card that has a red block that's drawn on it. And we're going to mass trial it, which means we're only going to work on that target for red. We're not working on blue. We're not working on green because we're teaching red right now. So we might put that card down on the table and say to the child, touch red. And we might prompt the child because the child doesn't know what to do in the beginning, but we prompt them. They touch the red and we go, yay! And we hug them or give them something reinforcing like a toy, or we tickle them, or we, yay, good job. And then we do it again, touch red. And eventually we fade the prompting so that we say touch red and the child touches the red. And every single time we're making it a party, yay, this is fabulous. That's mass trialing, right? And we just keep doing red. And it feels ridiculous because you're like, what am I doing? But eventually the child, you say touch red and the child touches red. Woohoo, this is the beginning step of learning what red is. There are many more steps to it. Please don't think it's just, ooh, that easy. Many more steps to it, because eventually we have to make it a three-dimensional red, and we have to make a light red and a dark red and all of these things. And we need to make sure that the child is learning that it's not just a random touch the card, that we're touching red. So what we do, and there's a very specific way that has been researched, and this really works, so you mass trial it until the child is getting it on a regular basis. We'll talk about mastery another day, but they're getting it on a regular basis. You see that, okay, they're getting, when I say touch red, they're touching the red, woohoo. Eventually we're going to transition into random rotation. So we would do the red, do the red, do the red, do the red, the child's getting it. Now we put the red card aside and we get out the blue card, and now we're going to do the same thing with blue, touch blue. And we prompt, and the child does it. We fade the prompt, and every time they get it right, woohoo, yay, good job. That's touching blue, yay. Until when we say touch blue, the child gets the blue, right? All right. Now here's where the random rotation comes into play. So now we might put down a card and say touch red, and they touch red, and then the next time we put down blue, touch blue. So the child begins to differentiate, and it makes sense to them, oh, you're saying this red thing, and it means this thing. And when you say blue, it means this thing. So they're differentiating between the two. So mass trialing, we only have one target. It might be red, it might be blue, it might be green, it might be, any one of a million targets that we could have teaching any lesson to a child, saying, come here, sit down, touch your nose, what's 4 + 4, right? It just depends on what the target is. But then mass trialing, we're only working on that one target. Random rotation, we're going to work on targets that the child has already learned in mass trialing. So this is how we build and build and build and build. And it's amazing what your child can learn this way. Absolutely amazing what they can learn. And I said yesterday, we all have mass trialed at some point in our lives. And we do this with our kids, and we do this with ourselves, that we practice something in order to get it and just do that one little thing. Oh, I'm just going to do this part of it, right? And we've all done random rotation too. Anybody who has ever sat and done a flashcard with a child, that's random rotation. Anybody who's ever done the thing with a child before my son descended into autism, we were learning body parts, right? And he was making great progress. So we would say, touch your nose, and he would touch his nose, and I'd say, where's your ears? And he would touch his ears. But in the beginning, I would just do, oh, it's your nose. Look at your nose. Touch your nose. And I didn't even know that I was doing mass trialing and random rotation. So they're not as foreign as they would seem, but the terms are foreign. So when you're talking with a therapist or a BCBA and they're saying, well, we're going to mass trial, features, that's, and we're going to start with this one. Or they're going to say, we're randomly rotating these 3 SDs. Then you begin to know, okay, when they're mass trialing, they're only teaching one target. When they're doing random rotation, they're doing multiple targets. I didn't even do the actual definition. Where is my head today? Okay, so random rotation, a procedure used during discrimination training in which the target is interspersed randomly with other targets. Often the other targets have been previously mastered. This is why we explain them, because this definition would have been useless to me on day 1 of autism. But after a while, you begin to understand. What we're talking about is discrimination training, discriminating between a couple of different things. So a procedure used during discrimination training in which the target is interspersed randomly with other targets. Often the other targets have been previously mastered. Let's look at our working definition, which is randomly switching between the behavior you're teaching, the current target, and other behaviors, responses the child already knows. You're switching it up. Make sense? I hope so. Because these are terms that you will use if your child is getting ABA therapy. Okay, we always have a question of the day for you. It's time for the question of the day. Okay, this makes sense to me now because somebody had written it on Facebook and I didn't understand what they meant. Now I get it. Our question for you is, what kind of support do you need right now? What is it that would be helpful to you? And I'm so glad that this is the question of the day because early this morning I had a meeting with some technology people who were trying to pick my brain as an autism parent. And they said, what are the areas that autism parents need? So I'm so thrilled. And they were saying, you don't have to have the solution for it and know what technologically the solution might be for it, but what do autism parents need? So this is great. Tell us on Facebook what you need right now, and I will relay that to these people who are creating technology for autism parents. Gotta love that. And it's interesting too. I always like to answer the question myself on the air. And my son is getting ready to start a social skills class because that's the thing that we need to support with the most right now. And as a coincidence of doing that, here in California, we have regional centers, and we talk about that here on the show. I am well aware of the fact that not everybody has this kind of system in place in your state. And the regional center, it's an up and down. Right now, we're having some issues with our governor here that some of the funding for the regional center, how do I want to say this nicely? I don't think he's taking it as seriously as he needs to. I don't think our Governor Jerry Brown, I don't think he has an understanding of autism in the way that I want him to as an autism parent, that I think all of us want. I don't think he understands how important early intervention is and how if you put early intervention into place, it means that you don't need as much later on. So when people talk to him about numbers and, okay, it might be $100,000 that this child needs in this year, I get the sense from Governor Brown that he thinks, wow, we really can't afford that across a lifetime. Recently, there was the possibility of giving 10 years of ABA therapy to a lot of residents in California, and Governor Brown chose not to do that and said, well, it would only be for 10 years. We really wouldn't want people to get used to something that we don't have a way to afford in the 11th year. Now, I get the fiscal responsibility thing there, but what he's not realizing that there's a whole bunch of children that wouldn't need more support after the 4th year, and there's a whole bunch of children who wouldn't need support after the 8th year, and that there is no earthly reason why you would deny that care to those children because we can't afford it in the 11th year. In any case, I started out by saying we went to the regional center recently because my son qualifies for getting help with his social skills class. And what goes with that, if you're getting one, you're eligible for respite as well. So we applied for it and got respite, which we haven't had in many, many years. And there is a little part of me that feels a smidge on the guilty side about taking it. But I had that moment the other day where I was sitting and talking to my husband and said, do you realize that this would mean that we could have a date night? And that was such a foreign concept to both of us that we kind of had that moment. And I realized, okay, this is a really good thing and I'm not going to say no to it. I know that there are many out there who are thinking, are you kidding me? What I wouldn't do for that. Do you ever get in the thing where you feel like you're a little less worthy of it because my child is doing so well? But I'm going to take it. And I didn't realize how badly we needed it until it was offered to us and we were told that we were eligible for it and it was given to us. And then I realized, man, this is going to be amazing for us. So, it's a pretty cool thing. I'm wondering what kind of support you need, though. So write in and tell us on our Facebook page. Okay, we also always have a topic of the week. And our topic this week, I really love this topic, making it work. With whatever circumstances you have, figuring out how to get it done. And it's tough. It's tough. You all have different circumstances and you have different things that you're having to, push against. But it doesn't matter, right? You still got to make it work. And so we're giving you strategies all week long to help you overcome whatever the obstacles are. And if you have something specific you need help overcoming, please write in. We'll do our level best to help you, connect you with resources to give you answers. But if nothing else, we'll give you some support and let you know that you're doing a good job. I know you are. Okay, we have a bunch of different things to talk about today. I'm really excited about today's show. A little bit later on in the show, in the last half hour, we're going to be joined by Catherine Minch, and she is going to be talking with us about a new ABA office that is opening up in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. So I mentioned yesterday, if you're in Louisiana, you're definitely not going to want to miss this. And actually, I think everybody around the world will be excited to hear some of the things that she's going to talk about. In just a few minutes, we're going to be joined by Robert Thornton from Paper Clouds Apparel. He's going to be talking to us about a very special campaign that they have. I've got things popping up here on my screen that they have going on at Paper Clouds this week and next week that's very close to home for me that I'm very excited about. And it's a great way to raise more money for autism care and treatment today, an organization that is very near and dear to my heart and should be, if it's not near and dear to your heart, it should be, because they give grants to families for the kinds of things that families ask for. So it's open-ended that you can write to them and say, hey, I need some help because I need to get my child medical testing and I don't know where else to go. And you can ask for a grant for that from them. If you need a grant because you want to start using skills and you can't afford the monthly subscription, you can ask for that. If you need a trampoline because your OT says, look, this is what will help this child's sensory issues, you can ask them for that. People have asked for fences and been granted the money for fences. So it really is, it's very easy to think, well, what I need is this, but it's not what you need. And I love that ACT Today says, tell us what you need. And that's what they give grants for. There's never enough money, but right now Paper Clouds Apparel has a promotion that's going on to raise money for ACT Today. And like I said, very near and dear to my heart. We're going to talk about that in just a few minutes. And then at some point today, we're going to drop in, because it's Tuesday, we have to drop in with our healthy eating tips. So all of that and ever so much more after these messages. Stick with us.
Hi guys, welcome back. For the month of July, I figured we're going to do something again that's more for outdoorsiness since it's summertime and I know your kids are going to be home and you need some activities to do inside and outside. So for July, I figured we'd make a lantern. So let's get started. The materials you'll be needing are wax paper, an iron, crayons, scissors, popsicle sticks, pencil sharpener, a glue gun, and tape. What I did first is that I have my iron heating on medium heat, okay? Make sure you keep this far away from your child because I don't want them to get hurt. Next thing I want to do is I'm going to take my wax paper and I'm going to make 4 sheets. I'm going to cut out a thing that's about 12 inches long, okay? Now that I have my wax papers cut out, what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab my crayon, and if you have kids around, which I hope you do, I'm going to grab them and have them make some crayon shavings. What the shavings are going to end up doing is making it a design. And again, this is another time for you and your child to talk about colors. You can discuss like what would happen if you mixed, some blue crayons and some yellow crayons. What would that produce? When you and your child have finally decided there's enough crayon shavings on your wax paper, what you're going to do next is you're going to take it and fold it in half. Now that I have it folded in half, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take an old newspaper and then I'm going to sandwich it in between. And then with my iron on medium heat, I'm just going to have it gently on there just so the wax melts into the paper and becomes one thing. Let's take a peek inside. As you can see, all the crayons have melted into it, making this beautiful kind of like rainbow-ish color. Alright, now I'm going to do this with the other 3 that I've made, and then we're going to assemble our beautiful lantern. Alright? So here are my 4 finished panels that I'm ready to build into the lantern. So what I'm going to do is I have these popsicle sticks, and I'm going to build them into a square and glue them together with my hot glue gun. While you're building your lantern, it's a good opportunity to work on math skills with your child. You could discuss how many sides does a square have versus how many sides does a cube have. Okay, I'm going to do this another 3 more times, so I have one for every single side. Alright, well, Now that I have these 4 different sides built, I am now going to take these wax paper things that I built, and then I'm going to put glue on here and smash it on there, okay? I know the wax paper is way too big for it, but what we're going to do later is trim it. Alright, so now they're all done being glued together. Now I'm going to take my scissors and trim along the outside. Now that the 4 sides are done, I'm going to take some tape and I'm going to line the edge of it so they will stay together to make my cube form. And voila, here's my lantern, but it's missing something. You're right, it's missing a light to illuminate it. So what I'm going to put in here is an LED light. I'm definitely not going to put a real candle or else this thing's going to catch on fire, and that is a real safety hazard, okay? So here's my little guy, and I'm going to turn it on and let's see what happens. Ooh, look at that. Isn't that pretty nice? And it's not even dark yet. I would love if you shared your pictures of your finished crafts, but until then, craft on. Bye, guys.
Can you see me flying by your side?
Welcome back to Autism Live. Joining us via Skype right now is Robert Thornton. He is the founder of Paper Clouds Apparel. We're so thrilled to have him back on the show. Robert, welcome back.
Oh, I'm so happy to be back with you and to be teamed up with you again and show the world your son's awesome artwork again.
Well, it's a bigger thrill for us, I think. But I thank you so much. Let's back up just a little bit, and for people who haven't seen you on the show before, tell them what Paper Clouds Apparel is.
Okay, what I started with Paper Clouds Apparel is it's a way to raise funding for special needs schools and special needs organizations, while also showing off the amazing artistic talents that individuals with special needs have. So we take a piece of artwork that an individual with autism or Down syndrome has created, and then we transfer that artwork to our shirts. We also put it on hats now, and then canvas tote bags. And I'm actually, let me get up here a little bit.
There it is.
It is the robot that was drawn by Shannon's son, Jem.
Yes.
And we brought that back because the first time we launched it, we had so many people that emailed us after the fact being like, I missed it. How can I get that great robot shirt? and we're always limited edition, you know. So I was like, man, we've gotten so many emails for this shirt. Like, I have to bring this shirt back. And not only since it was the most popular, which I don't want to throw out there, but it was definitely the most asked for. So you need to, pat Jem on the back for that. But so we decided to throw it not only on a tote bag, but then also on our hats as well. And so I just can't. I'm actually going to pick up the hats. As soon as I'm done here, I'm going to go pick those up, and so we're going to get some more pictures of those up on the site for everybody to see as well, because I can't wait to see how those look. And I'll probably be wearing that shirt and the hat today and look extra corny, but I don't care.
Well, it's so cool, and I think it's a great idea. And throughout the year, you focus on different groups, and you have different artists whose work is displayed. And there's always a charity that's tied to each shirt, each run that you do, and it's a 2-week run, right? You can only buy it for those 2 weeks.
For those 2 weeks, and especially, we're giving them a second chance on these ones. So, but as soon as these 2 weeks over.
That's it.
The throwback campaign, unfortunately, these are gone forever.
That's it. So limited edition, but there is a charity that's attached to it. And so for Jem's T-shirts and his hats and his tote bags that are being sold for these 2 weeks, the charity that is going to benefit from this is Autism Care and Treatment Today. And if people watch the show at all, they know that I feel very passionately about this organization because they give grants to autism families for things that the autism families say, look, this is what we need. Which is a really remarkable thing. So I want you to know that when you buy the shirt, not only are you getting a limited edition shirt, but you're also helping children with autism to get iPads and get fencing and get ABA and to, get medical testing and medical services. So it's a really wonderful thing. And I have to say, because, the first time we were able to get our shirts, that what you talked about it a little bit before on the show, but I really hadn't had a chance to experience it. These are the softest T-shirts known to man.
Yeah. I love that's the one thing that I always wanted to make sure was that we sold really high quality shirts. Especially with a lot of autistic individuals, they have sensory issues, and so I was like, we have to make sure these shirts feel soft on their skin so that they want to wear them. And that's one of the cool things that we've gotten back from people being like, I can't believe how soft this shirt is. And we've had parents that they're like, I can't get him out of it. Like they wore it, he's sleeping in it. Like I've had to wash it 3 times this week, but they're like, luckily, they're high quality, so the color stays. They look great. Yeah. And so that's not. And then I think one of the biggest additions to what we do as well is that we actually hire individuals with special needs to package all of our shirts. So every shirt that you purchase, not only is that shirt, not only is 50% of the proceeds from that purchase going to the cause, but we're also hiring somebody with special needs to package that shirt. So every shirt you buy is also creating a job for somebody.
Yeah, it's a very win-win-win kind of situation from beginning to end. And so we want to talk a little bit about where people can go to learn more about Paper Clouds Apparel, where they can go to order their shirts.
Go ahead. Pretty simple. I mean, just www.papercloudsapparel.com. And you can also find us on Facebook at Paper Clouds Apparel. And we will be featuring, all of our shirts from the line, the 3 shirts that we have, because not only do we have this, because the first time go around, we just did them in the unisex, like men's style shirts. But I had probably the majority of my emails from women in like, you have to make this in a women's shirt. So we put it on.
Look at that. It's rocking.
Yeah, I love that burnout, that green color too. It's just very, very fashionable, and they feel fantastic, and the robot just really, really pops on on that green color. So it definitely jumps out at you. So I can't wait to see people wearing them and get, once we actually, ship them out and get those pictures of people wearing them. And once they feel them, then they're like, I wish, like, you'll see even on our Facebook page, people being like, I wish I would have ordered more,
Yeah.
So,
and I've noticed on your Facebook page that people have written and said, this is so cool, this is so wonderful, I want to participate. How do I get my child's drawing on a T-shirt? And I know that you've got some things coming up in the future, but what would you advise to people who go, this is cool, how do I make this happen for my child?
We're actually doing a really cool campaign. I haven't announced it really yet, and I'm sure that my advisor she's not going to get mad at me, but I'm going to say it anyway.
We won't tell her. It's just between you and I.
Oh, she's going to watch this and then harass me and critique me. But we're actually going to do this really fun campaign coming up soon where we're going to open it up to anyone, with special needs that wants to possibly be on a shirt. If you have a loved one that likes to draw and you want to see their shirt on them, well, we're going to open it up and take the first 100 pieces of artwork that are submitted. We're going to put them up on a splash page, and for like between 2 to 3 weeks, have people vote on it.
Nice.
And then the winners will create, we'll create shirts for them and raise money for their causes. Because one of the things that has kind of really gotten to me is the fact that I haven't been able to help the small organizations, and the small special needs schools that really need it, just because we always need to be teamed up with somebody, I think, that can help us, because we're small. And so we need somebody that can help us promote it. And so it's just really tough if we team up with a school that only has, let's say 13 children, for us to really be able to make a difference, But this is a way where it doesn't matter if you go to a school that has, 2 people, or if you just started, an autism organization and you're just trying to get it off the ground and you really don't have anything going. This is a way for everyone to be involved, and not just people that are teamed up with, Autism Speaks, or the International Down Syndrome, Coalition, or, the Art of Autism, those pages that have a lot of people. This is a way where everybody and anybody can get involved, and hopefully our fans will just go and vote on the pieces that they love the most, and we can definitely put out some awesome work and really give these individuals, that have autism or have Down syndrome, a moment in the spotlight, definitely, and I think the self-esteem boost has been the coolest thing, receiving emails from the parents of children who's already been on a shirt, saying that it's completely changed the dynamic of their home life.
Yeah, I can attest to that. It was, what the funny thing is that when we were asked, because my son has been a client of CARD, and we were asked to, the kids that were clients were asked to do drawings, and I was asked specifically because they needed more boys to have Jem do a couple of drawings. And my son is not somebody who likes to do a lot of, he does draw, but he doesn't like to do a lot of drawings, and sometimes he does technical drawings, and his drawings aren't always appreciated, let's say that. Yeah. And I didn't think of him as being an artist. We go to Art of Autism events, and he's seen other things and met other individuals with autism that are artists, and he thinks it's really cool, but he never thought of himself as an artist. I never thought of him as an artist. And we've been to the Getty. I mean, we do things, right?
Yeah.
But I sat down and I said, I just need you to do me a favor, do a couple of drawings. And he said, well, what do you want me to draw? And I said, think about what you would want on a T-shirt. And the first thing he said to me was, can I draw a robot? And I said, sure, draw a robot. And he started drawing.
Did he ever draw a robot?
Well, it was crazy, though, how he started drawing it, Robert. The first thing that he did was he drew the side panel on it. And I said, what? So I thought it was going to be this long, skinny robot. And then he drew the other panel, and I didn't know it. I said, what are you drawing? He said, I'm drawing a robot, Mom.
Yeah, Mom, come on. Can't you see this?
And he already had it in his head. And then as he drew it, I went, oh, my goodness, I didn't know you could draw that. It was really amazing. And then he did a couple of other drawings, but really the robot was amazing.
It's just, as soon as I saw it, I was like, that's going on a shirt. Like, it is amazing.
Well, and then when we heard that it was going to be on a shirt, that his was chosen, he was so excited about that, and it was just a delight. And I shared with you a little bit that my mother had gotten sick, and it was one of the last things. You sent me the picture of the T-shirt the first time, the day before my mom died. It was one of the last things that she got to see. She was so excited about it. She was so thrilled. It was just an amazing, amazing thing, and it's going to make me well up, but it meant so much to Jem, and while we were going through that whole thing where his grandmother died, it was just an exciting thing for him that he had something good happen. And when I told him the other day, I said, they're going to run your shirt again. He was like, what?
We're going to make sure we get him one that he can wear now, since he's growing. He's
yes,
growing at an alarming rate.
Yes, he has grown so much. But I thank you so much for the work that you do. I thank you so much for featuring my son's design. We're just thrilled.
My pleasure. I love being able to show the world, the talents that that individuals with autism possess. Because
some of the shirts are so cool, Robert. I love.
So good. I mean, I'm not an artist ever, but I look at this stuff and I'm just like, it's art.
It is art.
100% art. And that's the way I treat it as art. And I tell people we take pieces of art.
Yeah.
And transfer them to the shirts. I don't like to say that we take drawings or we take sketch. It's art. And I think it's so amazing. And I think then when we get to see it on the shirt, I'm just like, oh my goodness,
Right.
And the cool thing is, I think that whenever you wear these shirts out, it's such a conversation starter.
Yeah.
I mean, I went to grab my morning coffee, wearing Jem's shirt, and literally inside the coffee place had 4 people ask me about it.
Oh, that's awesome.
And I think it's just one of those things where they're like, oh, that's a cool shirt, and then when you tell them about it, then they're like, what?
That's
I'm like,
cool.
Yeah, I mean, so go check it out, And so I think that word of mouth and the way that we're a grassroots business, we're growing slowly, but I have no doubts that we're gonna keep on growing, and within the next year or two, we're gonna really, really be able to really accomplish some amazing
Absolutely.
things, and I can't wait for Autism Live to be on for the ride for Act Today.
Yes.
We've got an amazing campaign coming up with your friends, the Art of Autism, and Celebrate Autism Foundation. We're actually looking about teaming those two up on a combined project, because both Lisa Anderson and Deborah Hussein are just so awesome. So it's like anything I can do to help those two, just incredible women, incredible mothers,
Absolutely.
that love their children so much and have really dedicated their life.
We're big fans of both of them. And I just want to say, too, that at this moment in time, when people go to the website, they'll see Jem's robot, but you've got a couple of other shirts that are running right now that were popular shirts, too.
Yes,
so they can look at everything. There's one that's the little alligator that runs across the shirt that I think is just really cute. There's a guitar that's lovely, and I can't think what the fourth one is.
The fourth one is they drew a skull,
right?
But then it has like a little pink bow on it. So that one goes great on the women's shirts, and then for the men's, we try and toughen it up a little bit, so we take the pink bow off. But I thought when I got that with that pink bow on it, I was like, this is adorable for that little for that girl or that woman that's a little bit rocker.
Yes. And now, for each one of those shirts, is there a different charity that gets benefited?
Yes. The dinosaur alligator one, that one actually goes to an organization called Sounds of Autism.
Lovely.
And that was created by a little boy named Alex. I think he's 9 years old, and has autism. But I was just like looking at that still, and I was like, because I grew up being a big dinosaur kid. I was like, oh, that's so awesome, And then the guitar was created by a little boy named Noah with Down syndrome. and that goes to the International Down Syndrome Coalition.
Cool.
And then the Skull and Crossbones was created by a girl named Lessa, and that goes to the Common Threads Therapy and Resource Center, which is an amazing, amazing autism treatment and therapy center out in a small town in Wisconsin, right outside of Madison. So
okay.
we got some, I mean, I love every cause that we've teamed up with. I just, you know, it's almost, I get frustrated because I'm like, I want to raise more. I want to raise more for them, just because I know that this money is going to be is put to such great use by all these organizations, you know. And I think that obviously everybody needs T-shirts, so you know, why not make your T-shirt matter? You know,
and it's addictive to give back. It's really addictive, and so we want to spread that around and have it grow legs. Well, I thank you so much, and we're going to be talking about it all week long. And I can't wait to get one of those totes, because the totes are awesome.
Totes. Yeah, you need them. You know, I mean, the grocery store. You know, and it's just another cool way for you to show off. You know. Show the world Gems art.
Yes. And now, so what are the dates that this promotion is running? It's got 2 weeks. It's from yesterday, which is the 22nd, to...
Yesterday until, I believe the 8th?
The 8th of August.
Yeah, the 8th of August. Well, I guess it's that Sunday night at midnight Eastern time is when it ends. So the 8th is actually when then the next campaign starts. So each campaign has those 2 weeks. So get them while they're here.
All right, Robert. Thank you so much for everything that you do, and we'll look forward to hearing back from you.
Fantastic.
All right, take care.
Have a great day. Thank you, everybody.
Wonderful, wonderful project. And of course, I'm a proud mama, but you have to check out these T-shirts and check out the tote bags and the hats and look at all of the designs. Of course, I want you to buy Gems T-shirt because the money goes to Act Today, but how could we say no to you buying T-shirts that go to those other wonderful organizations, right? So pick a T-shirt. They are the softest T-shirts. Pick a tote bag. They make great teacher gifts, by the way. And the hats are cool too. All right, we're going to take a break, and we'll be back with a story that's breaking even this morning about a rapper who's got an apology, and this time I feel like it's heartfelt. So let's talk about it right when we come back.
You say hi, we say hi. Let's get wild, let's get wild. Let's get wild. Let's get wild. Let's get wild. Let's get wild.
Hi, welcome back to Autism Live. I'm Lisa Ackerman, Executive Director of TACA. We're gonna bake again.
All right.
It's my lovely assistant.
Hi, I'm Jennifer Lucero.
We heard so many people go, I want a decent chocolate chip cookie for my kid to eat. We've got all our dry ingredients. So I've got the flour, I've got the flaxseed meal, baking soda, baking powder, our gum, or xanthan gum.
Great.
So we're gonna get started in the mixer here. So those are dry ingredients. I did have brown sugar. We did cut this down. And the one way to do that is my favorite, and that's maple syrup. I'm using egg for this recipe, but we could use more arrowroot and also the flaxseed meal. So I'll go ahead and throw my eggs in here, which I love doing. So and then the last thing is a shortening and gluten-free casein-free butter replacement. So I'm going to go ahead and throw this in. I've let it sit out for a while so it's nice and soft. So let's go ahead and mix this thing well. These are dairy-free, soy-free, and I really like them. Again, Enjoy Life is a great product. It's also net-free. And chocolate chips are a personal thing. I won't judge you if you use the whole bag.
I would.
I know, right? So here we go. Great recipe. It's the nice consistency. Everything's ready to go, so we can enjoy our cookies here in just about 10 minutes. We want to give it a kind of like a couple inches between each cookie. You know, a lot of people are really concerned about aluminum, so what I've done is I laid down my natural brown parchment paper, and Jen's helping out putting the cookies down. So we're separating the nice baked good that's all organic from the aluminum cookie sheets. So let's go put these in. So magic oven allows me to pull the last ones out. And voila.
Yum, that's good.
Really great cookies. I'll let you have a bite so you can do my Vanna White there too. Yeah, these taste pretty good.
Really good.
We're going to come back later after I gain 5 pounds and eat this entire tray.
For sure.
You know, more feedback is good. So if there's something you want us to convert, like another recipe or maybe a relative made, just let us know, autismlive@gmail.com. You can go to Facebook, or there's thousands of recipes on the TACA website just waiting for you to explore. You can go to Tacanow, TACANOW.org. And we'll see you next time at Autism Live.
Bye.
You say howdy, we say hi. Let's get rowdy, let's get wild. Let's get wild.
Welcome back to Autism Live. We mentioned before the break that we were going to come back and talk about some breaking news. I know that all of you have been very aware of the fact that rapper J. Cole had come out with a song about a month ago that had some really incendiary lyrics. And I know if you watch this show, you know that I don't like to give attention to things that seem to be attention-seeking. And there were things in the song that were really inappropriate and insensitive that had to do with autism, but it was by no means just targeted at autism. The song was full. I don't mean to laugh, but it's just rife with things that it looks like, who are you trying to insult? Everybody. Really inappropriate things. Now, what was interesting was there's a blogger, Lou, I always mangle his name, Lou Melgarejo, who we have talked about his blogs and featured his blogs before on the show. A really wonderful writer and a great dad. He was the dad who wrote the open letter to Comcast and said, as an autism parent, I'm asking you to please reconsider how you fund your insurance and that it's self-funded and that it's not covered. And I really love my job and I don't want to lose my job, but I've tried to talk to you about this in a non-public forum, and I don't really know what's happened with that. He got a little quiet about that, so I don't know what's happened with that. But Lou wrote a blog last week called Autism Sensitivity and the Hip Hop Culture. And I will warn you that it was shared on the Huffington Post, and I will warn you if you go to read that, he shares the lyrics and they're shocking. It's not stuff I'm going to share here on the show. Let's put it that way. I refuse to say these words, but really you go, whoa, take my breath away. Now, I understand that I'm of a certain age where, I'm much more shocked by language than a lot of people. But at a certain point, right? And Lou makes the point very well in his blog that he says perhaps Drake and J. Cole are not aware of how autism is diagnosed and how sensitive it is, and that they may want to rethink how they're languaging things. I want to read just one little part here. So, Drake and J. Cole, if you're reading this, I would like to challenge you to help make a difference in a community that so sorely needs help. Commit to educate, not denigrate. Ultimately, you are free to say, rap, sing, whatever you want. I'm just asking that you please stop insulting those who often cannot defend themselves. If you were to meet my daughter, I guarantee you that your heart would melt. I can also promise you that you would walk away with lots of words to describe her, and that the R word would not be one of them. You might even be hesitant to use autism as a punchline in a rap verse as well. So, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful blog. You can find that on Huffington Post. And, sometimes you feel like you're railing against things and that nobody ever hears you. But rapper J. Cole apologized. And it was a lovely, lovely apology, I thought. And you know that sometimes I'm critical of apologies because it sounds like people don't really mean it. But the quote is, I want to educate myself more on autism, and I'll gladly own my mistake and serve as an example to today's generation that there's nothing cool about mean-spirited comments about someone with autism. And he wrote that in his blog, which is titled Dream Villain. He went on to say, people with this disorder and their loved ones have to go through so much already. The last thing they need to hear is something as ignorant as what I said. He continued, and this was posted on Sunday. He said Drake posted and said, this was a learning lesson for both of us, and I'm grateful for the opportunity to try to right this wrong. That's what Drake posted. want to say thank you to them for acknowledging and owning the mistake. We have put in a call to J. Cole's management and offered to have him come on the show because I really think this is remarkable. Look, we make mistakes. We all make mistakes, and sometimes we're ignorant to certain things. There was a time in my life when I was ignorant to what autism was, and if we educate one person at a time, and for someone this publicly to make a genuine apology and say, what I said was ignorant, and I take it back, and if I need to serve as an example so that we can all learn, then this is a good thing. So I just want to say heartfelt thank you to both J. Cole and Drake for owning that. Sometimes really good things can come out of really bad things. So I appreciate it. I don't get the language that rappers use. But, my discussion with somebody that I had about this the other day, I said, look, I used to perform, as many of you know, I used to do stand-up and I used to do comic improv. Things get said in moments when people are performing and they do things, and sometimes, finding the line of being funny and being politically incorrect and being insensitive and boorish and over the top, sometimes the line is really hard. And when you're in the moment and you're being creative, it's a really hard thing. Now, so I appreciate that these performers are owning it. My question is, where were the people around them? The person who was producing the record, the person who was running the board, then the marketing team that then was going to market it, and the record label. None of them, there was that level of ignorance. And if that's the case, well, then something good has come from this, that the J. Cole has informed everybody, wow, this is some place that we really don't want to go. And maybe the next time that happens, somebody in the room will go, you know what, I think this is not okay. I think this is way over a line, and I understand that, you're trying to make a point here, but this is not the right point. So I appreciate it. I really, really do as a parent. And a heartfelt apology goes a long way. Love it. Thank you to both of them. We're going to take a break, and we're going to come back with more of Autism Live. Stick with us.
The Institute for Behavioral Training provides courses in applied behavior analysis for the treatment of autism. Access IBT e-learning videos on the move and learn at your own pace.
Talk a little bit about intensity.
IBT e-learning makes any location your classroom on the go.
So our objectives for today are to really learn what is autism and how is it diagnosed.
Get professional guidance with IBT face-to-face training. IBT face-to-face training courses prepare you to effectively implement ABA-based interventions. Choose between small group and one-to-one instruction. Earn BCBA supervision hours via one-to-one video conferencing.
So I had a chance to review your BIP today. You know what? It looked really good. You did a good job with it.
IBT, continuing education courses. Earn credit through webinars, conferences, article reviews, and e-learning videos. You can learn more at ibehavioraltraining.com. IBT, 360 degrees of ABA training.
Welcome back to Autism Live. Part of our mission here is to get information to as many people as we possibly can and to provide a resource and a clearinghouse so that if you have a specific question, there are lots of questions that come up in the autism community, and sometimes they're more broad-based and sometimes they're more specific, right? And we want to be able to help you to get access to the information that you need for your personal experience that you're going through with autism. And part of our mission is to be available on as many screens as possible, and we're free. I guess the possible exception is that we appear on Roku, and the show is free on Roku, but you must have the Roku device in order to watch it. But other than that, we try to make our information as free as possible. Many of you have written in and said that you're not watching on a computer, you're watching on a tablet, And the only way that you can watch on a tablet is to watch after the show is recorded. And you guys do a wonderful job of doing that. We post, when we do an episode, we post the entire episode to YouTube, and then we do highlights from it as well. So you can catch quick little snippets that we think might be of interest, specific interest to people. But many of you have written in time and time again and said you're so frustrated because you'd love to be able to watch on your iPad, to watch on your Android tablet. And for those of you who are using Nabi, I'm a big fan of Nabi. We're going to be doing some Nabi stuff here on the show. So all of, in all those formats, all those platforms, I guess is the word, on the tablets, you want to be able to watch it live. And I do think there's something to be said for being able to interact live when we have people like Dr. Doreen Granpeesheh in the room, or we have Dr. Jonathan Tarbox, or, any one of the probably 1,000 experts that we've had here in the studio since we started. There is something exciting about being able to talk to them in real time. So we've done a little troubleshooting to figure out how we can do this in a really cost-effective way so that you can get it quickly and it doesn't require us to be, spending a lot of money that nobody wants to spend. And the way that we can get this done, we need a little bit of your help. What we need you to do is subscribe to our YouTube page. So if you go to YouTube, there it is, youtube.com/autism live. You go there and then subscribe to the page. And we're told that if we can get 1,000 people to subscribe to it, that then they will allow us to do a live feed from YouTube, which means those of you watching on tablets would be able to catch it live as well. And I know, because so many of you have been asking for it, that that's important to a lot of you. So, but we can't do it without you. There's no possibility. Nobody's asking for even a quarter here. There's no money in this at all. Nobody's asking for your credit card number, but we need you to subscribe to it, and we need you to get other people to subscribe to it as well. We hadn't ever done a push for that. Didn't know that that was going to help us to do it, but now we do know. So we need for you to make that happen, and we'd like to make that happen today or tomorrow. So help us out here. Spread the word. Because the more days that I have to talk about this, it's like I listen to NPR on the way into work every morning, and they do the subscription drives, and they say, we can make this be 2 weeks, or we could just make it be a week. So if you don't want me endlessly talking about subscribe to the YouTube page, then help me get it done, and then we won't have to worry about it anymore, and then you'll be able to watch it on your tablets. How exciting will that be? I really think that will be a remarkable thing. So check it out. Make that happen for us. You can share right now on our Facebook page. We're running a contest. If you share it, then you're entered to win a bottle of wine, a really fabulous game from Endless Games. By the way, the wine is from One Hope, and they sponsor autism charities as well, so it's all to a good benefit. And there's also Temple Grandin's new book, The Artistic Brain, but you have to share that post and encourage other people to subscribe. Oh, I said the artistic brain. It's the autistic brain. Well, we were just talking about art and autism. There we go. Thank you. Emily keeps me on my toes. In any case, so go to the Facebook page, like us on the Facebook page, share that post about those 3 prizes to be entered the contest, and then go to our YouTube page, subscribe to it, and make sure that you're encouraging other people to do that as well. Tell them, I need to be able to watch this, and this is how it's going to make it happen. It doesn't cost them anything. It's all good. So there you have it. We're going to go now to the A Word. This is the ongoing documentary being made here at the Center for Autism and Related Disorders, following a little boy, Jack Riley, who was diagnosed with autism at the age of 2. He, at this point, is a year into his therapy. He's doing really well, and he's off to preschool, and it's some really trying times for the parents. They're having to face some new things on the radar that, you get complacent. You think, oh, well, now we've got this in place. Everything's going to be smooth sailing, and then other things happen. So take a look. This is the A Word.
I know a cute little blue-eyed boy, and his name is Jack. Jack Riley. He got a big, warm, blue-eyed soul that makes your heart beat fast.
So Jack Riley is starting preschool, and we're scared because it's a big classroom. He'll have a full-time aide for at least the first month, and then we'll see what happens after that.
Is he in a classroom with typical peers or mixed classroom?
It's a mixed classroom. To be honest with you, I don't think they love him yet. You guys always treat him with love,
How many teachers are there in the classroom with them?
There's 2 and a couple assistants, and one who's supposed to be Jack's assistant, but we think she's just reassigned at the last minute to pretend she's Jack's assistant. We're going to, in fact, try to observe a little today.
After Jack Riley has been in school for 30 days, Cheryl and Mike have an IEP meeting with the school district. An IEP is an individualized education plan. It's a legal binding document that outlines plans and goals for a child.
We went to our IEP the other day, and it did not go as badly as we thought it would. What they're ultimately trying to do is to take away a lot of the structured speech and OT time. They guised it under the fact that most of his needs are social related. What they're trying to do is do a lot of what they call push-ins, which is doing his speech therapy in the classroom. The more I think about it, the more I think that that's what should be happening in the classroom at all other times. Part of our concern is too is that we won 2 hours of OT during the due process, and they've never given it to us. For us now to allow them to reduce it to 90 minutes with never having even gotten the 2 hours.
Did the IEP affect the ABA he was getting?
No, the ABA right now is being provided by our regional center because I have a self-funded insurance plan that denied ABA coverage. So it is being provided by the regional center, but that's contingent upon us getting a certain amount of services from the school district. So it's all so interconnected and so scary because if one slips, then the other one does too.
Welcome back. That's the A word. You know, we've been talking all this week about making it work, and sometimes what we have to make work changes significantly. And, you know, if you watch the early episodes of the A Word, you see that they're waiting until they can get services started, that their funding has to kick in. And she talked a little bit about that, you know, first they went to their insurance and their insurance is self-funded. And so that didn't work. And then they went to the regional center. And now, you know, he's at an age where the regional center is saying, you know, realistically, there's a certain amount of this that has to be paid for by the school district. So over time, as our children grow, their challenges change and morph into new things. You get one thing under control and then the next thing, you know, pops up. It's one of the reasons why ABA, it's a commitment. We say 2 to 4 years. And my son did 5. So, you know, the 2 to 4 is an estimate, right? I remember going, you know, time up. I committed 4 years of my life to this, but I didn't want to leave job undone. And we're still working on things because I don't want to leave job undone. But you find a way to make it work. That's really our theme this week. You figure it out. You take the big, deep breath. You go, what do I need here? What support do I need? What has to happen in order for the next thing to happen? And it really does change. And our kids change, and they cycle in and out of different behaviors. And you know, that was one of the hardest things for me, is that I sometimes got so pigeonholed in, you know, in the beginning, I wanted him to be able to go to sleep before 3 o'clock in the morning. Oh, please, you know, pray into the heavens above. Please, can somebody help me with that? And then they took care of that in a week. It still boggles my mind because the years that we spent driving him around in the car, and then within a week, it was better. And I went, man, this is crazy. What else can you help us with? And then the next thing on my list was his self-injurious behavior, that he would beat his head on the kitchen floor. And then we got that under control. And I was like, wow, well, you know, let's get that talking thing happening. And that began to start to take place. And we were going, okay, let's bring on the toilet training, right? And the talking thing was still progressing, but, you know, things kept happening. And then we got to a point where I was like, wow, you know, all the big things on my list are in place now. So what does everything else look like? But a new behavior would pop up because my child was growing. And when I think about this, you know, if you take autism out of the equation and you just take a neurotypical child and they grow and they're a baby and certain things, and then they get the terrible twos, and then the terrible twos get out of the way, and then, you know, something else happens, and then your child goes through the whiny phase, right? I have friends who go, what's with the whiny phase at 5? What's with that, right? And then they get to the phase when they're 10, when they don't want to be touched, and, you know, this is for all those neurotypical kids, and they get to be 13, and suddenly they they start keeping secrets and stuff, there's always progress. And it took me a while to realize as an autism parent that when my child started to progress, that things were going to change along maybe a different line than the neurotypical kid, but that my child was going to change and grow, and with the growth there was going to be new challenges, and that I needed to embrace that it meant that he was progressing. That, the first time he gave me attitude, right, that while I don't want to raise a child who is giving me attitude, I want a child who's respectful of me, that it was a sign of growth, that he was pushing up against new things, and that I needed to be on top of it. So there's no sleeping at the wheel as a parent, whether our kids are neurotypical, they're on the spectrum, or they face other challenges. There's no sleeping at the wheel, and that it's something to be embraced. The change and the growth and the new challenges. And when I would say to you that it took me at least 2 to 2.5 years before I finally accepted, I'm not going to get to a week where there's no challenges. There's always going to be challenges, and I just need to be looking for solutions and saying, okay, how do we make this work? It's something that I'm starting to have bleed over into the rest of my life. It's interesting to me sometimes. I'll be talking to somebody about a problem, and they'll go, well, we can't do this. And that now I'm starting to take that same attitude and go, okay, well, we can't do that. So how can we make this work? And it causes you to think outside the box and think, all right, well, if we can't get there this way, then what way are we going to get there? Now, this is the mentality when stuff gets done. When you say, all right, that channel's not open, what's another way that we're going to do this? And when you get that attitude on, it's like stretching on a cap, right? Everything's possible. Everything is possible. And I didn't invent that attitude. I looked to other autism parents who were making it happen, who were getting it done. They were making it work. And I would say to them, how are you doing that? It's like you're levitating. Because the numbers don't add up. No one can afford autism. So how are you making that happen? And they all said, and it's not like they belong to some, crazy cult. They all said, you know what? We just got in a mindset of let's figure it out. Failure is not an option. Let's figure it out. So I encourage you. You see here in this episode of the A Word that Cheryl says, well, we tried the insurance. The insurance didn't work. So then we went to the regional center. Now the regional center is saying the school. The school is saying the regional center. And we're just making it work. We're taking it day by day. We're not always happy, but we're making it work. And that's the winning attitude. That's the team that gets it done. And you can have access to a whole bunch of services and not have the good results if you don't take that attitude. I've met many parents, and I have no judgments. You understand? I have no judgments. I've met many parents who have said, well, we had access to this and we had access to that, but it didn't really work out for us. And upon talking to them, they said, because we just couldn't make it work. Now, I don't believe that. I don't believe that you can't make it work. I think what happened is you decided that other things took precedence, and that's okay. If that's your deal, that's okay. But the lie we tell ourselves, I just couldn't make it work, no. When there's a will, there's a way. Sometimes it's tough, but parents are doing it all the time, and we can. And we can do it together. You do not need to be alone on this. But ask yourself, how am I going to make this work? And see what comes up. And ask for help. Ask for help. All right, we are going to take a break, and then when we come back, it's time for the healthy eating tip of the week. Stick with us. Currently, in the United States, 1 in 88 children is affected by autism. 1 in 88 means something different when your child is the one. Recovery is possible. Hi, I'm Shannon Penrod, host of Autism Live, an online show about autism broadcast by CARD, the Center for Autism and Related Disorders. I'm also the mother of a child with autism, my beautiful son, Jem. You know our old joke? Guess what?
Chicken butt.
Chicken butt. So we're going to take the chickens. But things weren't always so easy. I remember when Jem was first diagnosed with autism. I used to lay awake at night in bed and pray for someone or something that could help us to get our child back. My prayers were answered by Dr. Doreen Granpeesheh and the Center for Autism and Related Disorders. CARD treats autism and other related disorders using the principles of ABA, Applied Behavior Analysis, which is the only scientifically proven effective treatment for autism. It is also recommended by the American Academy of Pediatrics and the U.S. Surgeon General. About a year after we started treatment with CARD, we were able to see tremendous improvement, and we got our child back.
What grade are you in?
Second.
You are a smart cookie, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Do you like school?
Yeah.
Do you have any good friends?
Yeah, Oscar.
Oscar is your best friend?
Yeah.
And my child is just one of thousands to benefit from CARD ABA therapy. Across the nation and around the world, children are making amazing progress and being given the keys to unlock their full potential.
We are extremely grateful for the amazing job CARD has done in helping our daughter. Our daughter today, just in 4 months, I think is a totally different child than when she started with CARD. I kind of see it as, it seems like her brain in a way was asleep, and now that we've gotten so many services, we've seen her wake up.
Did you have some gases?
Recovery is possible if you take the right steps, if you're willing to put in all the hard work. And 7.5 years, yeah, it's a lot of work. It's worth every little bit, and CARD's been there with us every step of the way.
I have 2 children with autism. I can't imagine a day without CARD or the therapists. They've been so instrumental in helping us with our kids and shaping their lives and helping us help them.
Thank you, Christy and Big Alex.
Thank you, Jackie and Mariana.
We've tried other things before ABA, but the most beneficial thing has been ABA services, and I'd be the first person to tell any newly diagnosed family that you have to contact an ABA provider, and if you're lucky enough to have CARD, you're very blessed.
Recovery from autism is absolutely a possibility. We've been recovering children for over 20 years. It's just a matter of identifying the child's medical needs, understanding the child's sensory issues, and then teaching the child all of the skills they need in order to function normally.
We know there's hope for autism. Autism is treatable, and recovery from autism is possible. Welcome back to Autism Live. It's time for our healthy eating tip for the week, and this is going to sound bizarre, but our tip for today is to chew your food. Now, I know, you go, duh, come on. But let's stop and consider a couple of things for a second here that we've talked before on the show, that a lot of times our kids, because they didn't start speaking on the same trajectory as perhaps a typically developing child, there's a lot of times paired with that, there's food selectivity, that there are certain things that they don't like to eat. And what happens with either or both of those things, if you have a child who does not speak as early as a typically developing child, or you have a child who there are certain foods they won't eat and they're really, really picky, you are going to end up with a child who the musculature is not as firm as it needs to be to produce sound in quite an effective way. And we've talked before about how that affects speech, right? But it also affects how well a child chews. And choking is a distinct hazard. And I think back to, I'm not good. I will admit that I need to chew my food more. If I were going to really do something, to help myself out health-wise, I would spend a little bit more time chewing. And then it was something that we were encouraged early on to work on with my son. And I was like, look, we have so many other things to worry about. I'm not really worried about that. But we don't want our kids to choke, and we want them to be the best possible at communicating things, and we want them to have good health. And chewing helps with all 3 of those things. If our kids have gastrointestinal issues and they chew their food, chances are that they're going to have fewer gastrointestinal problems because the intestines don't have to work as hard, so they get to heal a little bit. And there's likely to be less gas and more nutrients getting into their system the more the food is broken down before they swallow. It's also going to help to firm up those muscles, and that will help with speech. So chewing our food, and one of the things that we can do is set that example, and you can make it fun. I can remember being at the table and my mother doing a thing where we all, had to count, and we had to make funny faces while we were chewing. So we can play all kinds of games. I know that there are many of you out there that you are really sensitive about, you don't want your kids playing with their food. I'm not, for me, this is not as big of an issue as some other things, but you have to pick and choose your battles and what's important to you. But getting your kids to get in the habit of chewing, and all of us chewing as well, it really helps with a bunch of different health concerns and speech concerns. And it's likely that if you can get your child to, you could just say to your child, for instance, I'm thinking about snow peas. My son loves snow peas, sugar snap peas, absolutely loves them. And I do recall that the way we started getting him to eat the peas, because it's got the peas inside the pod, and it was the whole thing we dissected and said, look what's growing inside, right? And then he didn't want to eat the pod, and, blah, 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 blah. But one of the things that we did with him was I said, you don't have to eat it. I just want you to chew it up and make green mush, which everybody thought I was a little crazy like a fox. So he chewed it up, and I said, make it really good mush, right? And the first time he, made a face and he spit it out and he was like, bleh, and it had still, wasn't, I said, oh, come on, you can do better than that. And I chewed one up and spit it on the plate and said, you got to get it at least as mushed up as this, right? Well, then my son's very competitive. This may not work with your child. But so he mushed it up and spit it on the plate, which, very reinforcing, spit food on a plate, right? And then I said, well, let's try another one. Well, you know what happens is if you get it chewed up enough, he started swallowing a little bit of it. And his tongue got used to the flavors of it. And now he loves snow peas. So there you go. But in the meantime, you need to be working on some of those other issues and making sure that we all chew our food. That's our healthy eating tip for the week. I told you it was going to be strange, but it really does make a difference. All right, we're going to take a break and come back and address some questions from viewers. Stick with us.
Skills is an online program that provides assessment, curriculum, positive behavior support planning for challenging behavior, and progress tracking, and it does this all in one place. The Skills assessment and curriculum addresses 8 areas of development, which even includes advanced higher level areas such as executive functions and cognition, which pretty much makes Skills the only ABA-based set of curricula for teaching more complex skills, things like problem solving, planning, self-management, perspective taking, and even inferring and predicting others' private events. Skills is a 4-step system. Step 1 is to add the child to your account. Step 2 is to start assessment. The Skills assessment is the only ABA-based assessment with psychometric research demonstrating the language subscale to have excellent reliability. Every area of human functioning and typical child development from infancy to adolescence was researched, making the Skills assessment the most comprehensive of its kind in the world, and we're quite proud of that.
Skills is easy to use. Simply click Start Assessment and begin answering questions. Or simply type in a keyword, find specific activities to assess, and add activities to treatment. Step 3. Choose activities. Once you've completed the assessment, Skills selects from a pool of 4,000 activities categorized by age, level, and skill type to provide you with exactly those activities each child needs. Start by choosing a curriculum, then a lesson, and finally an activity. Click the information icon to view prerequisites, ages in which targets develop, examples, and IEP goals. Click the video icon to watch a short video. Once you've identified an activity you want to teach, adding activities to treatment is a snap. Step 4. Start treatment. Here you can access customizable activity lesson details, add your own customized targets and exemplars, and edit an activity status such as introducing or mastering it. You can even print handouts such as worksheets, tracking forms, visual aids, and other materials. Skills also offers multiple progress charts mapping curriculum progress, lesson progress, and cumulative number of activities and targets mastered over time. The Skills language curriculum is categorized by verbal behavior type so that users can identify progress for verbal operants, such as echoics, mans, tax, and interverbals.
Skills is one of the only programs that provides the ability to write behavior intervention plans, or BIPs, for challenging behavior.
With just a few clicks, the outline of the behavior intervention plan is written for you and ready to be printed and implemented.
You can learn more about Skills today and get started by visiting us at www.skillsforautism.com, or you can call us at 877-975-4559. Skills. Progress starts here.
Welcome back to Autism Live. We had a comment that apparently came in during the Paper Clouds segment that somebody said, can a camp for teenagers who use communication devices do it? And absolutely, I know that Paper Clouds is very interested in, if you have an organization, talk to them about doing a fundraiser with you. And if you're a small organization, then for that contest that they have coming up. But it brought up to my mind, I thought, how many camps are there that use communication devices and are friendly to kids who use communication devices? And of course, the first thing that came to my mind, Joey Travolta's Inclusion Films Camp, I know that he has children with all different abilities, including sometimes kids who are using a device. But I looked up to see who else, so I'm curious if you're still watching, viewer, to let us know the name of the camp that you're talking about that uses devices, because I Googled and it was not an easy thing. But you know how sometimes you Google something and we call it falling down the rabbit hole, you find something. Somebody had written a blog post about chicken camp. What is it, why I went, and what I learned. And it's a BCBA who went to a chicken camp that this woman does, Karen Pryor, where they teach clicker training for humans, and it's taking ABA principles and working with chickens for the purpose of becoming better at dealing with human individuals, because there are things to be gained. And one of the things she talks about is that how important it is to be very clear and not jam too much information into every minute, and that they took regular breaks, and how important it is to reinforce early, not late. So fascinating to me. I just thought this was really clever, and I can't wait to read more about it. The whole idea of, because, we get confused sometimes when we're working with adults, and I'm seeing this with my dog right now, that sometimes when I'm working with my son, I expect so much, and I expect him to get so much, and I don't hone it down to a little itty-bitty moment because I don't know how much he's receiving, so I throw too much information at him, and then I'm not successful, right? And with my dog, I know for sure that my dog doesn't understand when I say stay. So I have a level of patience, and I know that I have to make, when I'm teaching my dog and saying, sit and stay, that I don't have 38 other things going on. And yet I make that mistake all the time with my son. I'm trying to teach him something, and the TV is on, and I got this going on, and, all of this noise, all this sensory stuff going on, and I don't isolate the incident like I would if I was really trying to teach it to somebody who didn't know how to do it, like my dog. Fascinating to me, the whole idea of doing that with chickens. So truly, truly wonderful. Also, I wanted to address that somebody had written in yesterday, the viewer who is getting ready to put their child into the inclusion class, and they said, I'm still second guessing my decision to send my 11-year-old mainstream son to a special school for kids on the spectrum. I am so concerned that I'm going to see regression in his language skills when he is surrounded by kids with the same regression in language like he has. Fret, fret, fret. Only time will tell. And bless you, because we all understand what that is, right? We understand that, cycling back over it. And I love that you named your fear, that you said, I am afraid that I'm going to see regression in his language skills when he's surrounded by kids with the same regression in language like he has. Okay, that's your fear. And you put it out there, and now you know exactly what it is that you're nervous about. And if you see it, you'll be able to recognize it. You're going to be able to measure it, and you'll see. But as Evelyn Gould always talks about, and unfortunately I didn't mention this earlier, Evelyn's not able to be with us today, but Evelyn talks about, okay, so that's there. It's not crazy to think that at all. I mean, that is a possibility. So, you're on it. You're a very on it mom. You're like, this is a possibility, and I'm going to be looking for this. But what are all the other possibilities? What else might happen? And I know that there was some frustration before because you didn't feel like enough was happening at the other school. is it possible that at this new school, some of those goals that weren't being met, some of those social things that you were really wanting to see, is it possible that they may happen at this school? Are you going to be looking for those too? And it's easy, please, you know, when it's my stuff, I'm like, oh, but it's this, and I'm afraid of this, I'm afraid of this, I'm afraid of this. And somebody else has to remind me, okay, all right, and usually it's Evelyn, all right, that's there. Nobody's disputing that that's not a possibility, but what are the other possibilities? So I'm going to ask you, what are the other possibilities? What would really fantasize for a moment about what would be the most exciting thing? That, that when you get to winter break, that your child comes home and says something or does something or experiences something, or you hear something from the teacher. What would be the best possible thing? And is that also possible? This thing, this lump in the middle, it's possible. It is possible. But what else is possible? Let's see if we can't make a list of things that are possible to be on the lookout for, so we're not just looking out for this one thing. And also taking a minute to go, okay, what will I do if that happens? Because it won't be the end of your world. If you do see a regression, what's your plan? What's your plan going to be? And it's okay to morph the plan as time goes on. But I don't know why. Maybe it's just my hopeful nature. I don't think you're going to see that. Of course it's possible, but I don't think you're going to see that at all. And I think something really good is going to happen. And I hope you let me know when it does. Because what I recall, you can correct me if I'm wrong, is that the other setting where your son was in, it was loggerheads, that you really knew that there was more progress that your child could have and that the school was really not seeing that. That's what I recall, and you can correct me if I'm wrong. And I think sometimes when you get into loggerhead, if you just shift something, all kinds of things happen. And I really believe that it's going to be better for you and your child. I think that you chose this with duress because you're concerned about these things, but ultimately because somewhere inside you feel like it's the right thing to try right now. And if it's not, you're going to try something else. It's that making it work. You are going to make it work because you're an awesome mom. I know that about you. Okay, I can't get on Facebook, and I got stuck on the chicken camp. I kind of want to go to chicken camp now. In any case, we need to take a break because in just a minute it's time for us to be joined by Catherine Minch. And I mentioned that they're opening a new office in the Baton Rouge for ABA. It's the Center for Autism and Related Disorders, opening a new office in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. And this is very exciting. They've got an open house that's coming up, and we're going to ask Catherine to talk with us a little bit about that and some of the other things that are going on there. It's an exciting time in Louisiana. If you have friends in Louisiana or you're in Louisiana, you're really not going to want to miss this. And if you're not in Louisiana, I want you to hear this because 6 months ago, this wasn't happening. And if you're someplace where ABA is not happening and you have a wish list of things that you wish were happening where you are, take a listen to how this evolved in Baton Rouge, because maybe it's something that you can make happen where you are as well. We can always learn from other places, right? All right, we're going to take a break, and hopefully when we come back, we'll be joined by Catherine Minch via Skype. Stick with us.
When you find out you're having a boy, you always think like, oh, he's going to play football, he's going to do this and that. And then when he's diagnosed, all those things get washed away.
It's like that piece that's always in the back of your mind, where is he, what is he doing, is he safe?
We really didn't know what we were dealing with. I wish that they could have directed me a little bit more and provided me some information.
I was a young mom. I didn't know what it was like to raise a boy, despite a boy with autism.
Hundreds of thousands of families are not getting the help they need for their children with autism all around the country. ACT Today is determined to bridge the gap. These families really have to go through a lot to get a grant. The application process isn't easy. The records, the diagnosis proof, they're really battling for their kids. So when we can give them a grant, it is so wonderful to see that they succeed in getting that help for their children. Our founder, Dr. Doreen Granpeesheh, is an amazing woman, and she is one of the world's foremost authority on behavior of children with autism. She's extremely knowledgeable, and she oversees every single grant we give. She is part of that process. People may think of autism care and treatment as simply schooling or therapy, but we provide important safety supports, things like fencing, for example. The whole family's living in fear of that child running out into traffic. I recently delivered an iPad to a little boy with some of the apps that are out there for children with autism. Miracles happen.
I got the iPad from ACT.
From ACT,
What did it say? Can you repeat that, Dustin?
I got the iPad from ACT.
We have helped so many military families, and when I think of these brave families that are fighting two battles, one to protect our country and one for the right treatment and care for their children, it breaks my heart, and I think we have to do more as a nation to help them.
There's not a day that doesn't go by that we don't think about it. Some people say, oh, he's normal. You don't see the battles that I see every single day. My husband does have to deploy, and when they get on that bus, that might be the last time that my kids ever see them.
So I called, and they informed me that he had received a grant, which was like a blessing from above. I was just like speechless. I just started to cry because, without it, we would have been lost.
The ACT grant was a total miracle, and without that, they wouldn't be able to receive the service dog. So we're so appreciative of what they've done for us as a family.
Recently, ACT Today funded a program for military children with autism in San Diego, the Inclusion Films program, which is run by Joey Travolta and teaches kids on the autism spectrum literal filmmaking skills. They learn how to make a movie.
Are we ready? There you go, got it. Okay. Everything that goes into the process of making a film goes into everyday life. So they're learning life skills, they're learning to collaborate.
It was really nice to know how much they were enjoying this camp, and they're with people who are supporting them and are making them feel great about themselves and their differences and their similarities. And I get two kids that are working together and apart and together and apart, so it's an interrelationship as well as a camp and a learning experience.
It's so fulfilling when I get letters. One stands out for me, a boy who was 14 with Asperger's, and we gave him a grant to go to a drama camp. He wrote to us and said, "Dear ACT Today, thank you for letting me belong for the first time in my life." These kids are remarkable. We underestimate them. They're so knowledgeable, they're so capable, and we can change the life of a family, which means changing the life of the community.
Welcome back to Autism Live. We're going to do your answers to the question of the day first. Our question today was, what kind of support do you need right now? And somebody wrote in Annie with a very sad face. And I understand, boy, sometimes it's like you need so much help in so many different directions, you'll take it in any direction and be grateful. I hope that you're asking, and ask your local support group, where do you guys get help and support? How are you all managing to do this? I mentioned earlier that we just got approved for respite again after all these years, and I didn't know that we were eligible for it, didn't even know that I could ask for it. And I remember years ago when we were starting out, did not know, and it wasn't until I was in the local support group and somebody said, "Are you getting respite?" Because I said, "I'm so tired. I don't know what to do. I'm so tired. I can't even think straight anymore." And they said, "Oh, you've got to ask for respite." Didn't even know what it was. So sometimes, putting it out there and saying to your local support group, boy, how do you guys get help? How do you get, what do you have? How are you making it work? How does this work? It's a good question to ask. Another person wrote in, we should get more support in the 6-week holidays, like more people to take them out places so we can get normal things done like washing, shopping, etc. It's hard. The rest of the world works on this premise that, it's a holiday, it's a 3-day weekend, woohoo, we've got the weekend off. Except with autism, especially in the early years of autism, often that means that your caregivers, your therapists, and your support team has the 3-weekend off, and you're on the job the whole time. It makes it really, really hard. It builds resentment, right? Because you think, it's so nice for everybody else, but you can, if you have an ABA provider, you can say to them, hey, is there anybody who wants to work during this time? Because especially if you've got the funding, there are people sometimes who are available and who'd like to work through the holiday. And sometimes they assume that families don't want that, and sometimes families don't want it. Somebody wrote in and said, "Aw, man, family and financial would be nice, but God will work it out for us." Lovely thing to say. Somebody else says, respite and knowledge. I can't directly help you out with the respite, although we should do that sometime. We should do a thing, Emily, where myself and 2 therapists go and take care of somebody's kids for an afternoon. Wouldn't that be fun? Wouldn't that be something we could all get excited about? But I can help you out in the knowledge area. Tell us what you want to know about. I'll hook you up with some information. There's also IBT, Institute for Behavioral Training. And I mentioned yesterday, you can start doing their trainings for as low as $7.50 a training. Get the knowledge you need. There are ways to do that. Somebody else says, in my town there is no support for anything, so wishing gets you nowhere. I don't think so. In just a few minutes, we're going to be talking with Kat Minch, and for a long time, the people in Louisiana were hoping for and wishing for an office in Baton Rouge, and it's coming to them. It's opening, I believe it's next week. And I think the important thing is that the first stage is wishing for, and then you figure out, okay, what needs to happen to make this happen? And sometimes it's just numbers. And I would guarantee you that there are, wherever you live, there are other people who have kids with autism who need support too. And if you band together, sometimes that's the key to getting the support to come to you. Somebody else says, but we love our autistic kids loads. Absolutely. Someone else says therapy services and a better program through the school. I think that's most people. We need that. Someone else says family support. It's really devastating how little families know about how to support our families that are on the autism spectrum. I think we should do a show on that at some point about maybe do a booklet, a pamphlet that you hand to the family members. Here's things you want to say, here are things you want to do, here's how you want to help out, and here's where you want to keep your pie hole to yourself and not share your wonderful information. Somebody else says we need behavioral support bad. My son is 9 and so aggressive. He is nonverbal and has to get his way. If he doesn't, he has anger fits so bad that he is hitting everything in sight, including me. We are hoping that we can get him into a program soon. Otherwise, I will be in the psych ward soon. And of course, I'm going to be emailing this person separately because this is, you're at the end of your rope, and somebody else's financial help and respite care would be great. Absolutely. But I want to go back to this one, I was just talking with my husband last night about a member of my family who was not diagnosed with autism, and this was many, many years ago, but had this kind of behavior, that there was a level of violence that was happening that was crushing the family, and how devastating that can be, especially as somebody gets older and bigger. My son participated in self-injurious and violent behavior, and he was 3. And I had the dickens scared out of me because of the family member and said, we have to get this under control now. And 9, that's a very scary time. We're going to ask Dr. Granpeesheh tomorrow morning to weigh in on this and see about getting you some help and support, because you need some help, and I think it's great that you know that, and I appreciate your honesty in saying I'm going to be in the mental ward soon if this doesn't stop, because that's the danger for all of us. There's only so much a person can take, and then you can't take any more, right? So let's see if we can't hook you up with some information and some resources. We'll need to find out where you are, but let's see if we can't do that. But we'll keep you in our prayers and see what we can't do. We're going to take another break, and hopefully we've been able to connect with Catherine Minch from Louisiana and find out what those folks did to be able to get an office coming to them. Stick with us.
When Maddie was diagnosed, I'll be honest, I was very ignorant on what autism was. I knew that autism was basically something that hit boys at the age of 2 to 3 and shut down. And sometimes you think of the typical Rain Man movie. And with Maddie, she was doing all the same signs and symptoms of a typical child with autism spectrum disorder.
Stand up.
She didn't even acknowledge us coming into the room. She had barely any eye contact. She didn't interact with her sisters. She didn't really do anything. She just basically lined up her toys, and that was about it. We have a team of 7 volunteers, or 8 now. We have 8 volunteers, including my husband and I. And I'm the team leader, and so I do all the curriculum and get everything ready each week.
Jana was downstairs until 11 o'clock at night working on curriculum, going through 2 different textbooks. And then we, as a group, meet on Monday nights, and we would go through what the curriculum was from Jana. And a lot of times we would go, well, how exactly do you do that? How do you sit her at the table and do this trial base? What Skills has done for us, it's taken that away from Jana trying to figure out the curriculum for one. She can go down, or even our laptop, and she can sit down, and through all these questions, it comes up with the different programs.
At least for me, it was a relief off my shoulders. I was worried that I might be missing something, missing a curriculum that maybe she needs to know, where Skills, they have every possible thing your child needs to know from 0 to 7. They have a program for that.
What noise is this?
Good job! Every program that we did with her, I knew it was specific for what she needed to learn. Because before Skills, it was a lot of, okay, well, is that really age appropriate for a 2-year-old? You know, because it's not generalized. It's anywhere from 0 to 7. This is what your child needs to know in most manuals you'll find. But for this, okay, yep, she should be learning this. And no, she's not 4 yet. She doesn't need to know that yet.
We are so fortunate that Jana was able to attend a conference put on by CARD that opened the door for Skills, and that there's no looking back for us.
We started using the program in November, and it seemed like by January something just clicked, and she has completely kind of came out of her fog that she was in for quite a while.
I have never read a documented case on any child that has not benefited anything from applied behavior analysis, and now with this new Skills and being, you know, like the E version of ABA, I can't imagine it doing anything harmful to their child. It's nothing but exponential growth for us.
To see her now, it just blows us away. I mean, we call her our little miracle child because in 7 months' time, she's just blossomed into this normal, functioning child, and suddenly, we joke about it all the time, like suddenly we have twins.
If you're even thinking about doing it, do it. Because the absolute worst thing you can do is do nothing at all. And even if you use this program and it's just a single mom or a single dad working in the evenings with their child, this program is going to benefit them. It's going to show you where they are, it's going to show you where they need to go, and it's going to show you what skills and how to get there. It is an online book on how to help recover your child.
Welcome back to Autism Live. We're joined via telephone right now by Kat Minch. She is the Director of Expansion Services for the Center for Autism and Related Disorders, and CARD is expanding to Louisiana, and they're going to be opening an office in Baton Rouge. But Kat, you're on the phone with us right now. First of all, welcome to Autism Live.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Oh, great. We can hear you wonderfully. And you've got a conference coming up, a free autism conference coming up in Louisiana. Tell us a little bit about that to start out.
Sure. The conference is going to be held on August 24th, and we are opening it to parents, educators, families with children with autism, anybody interested in potentially working with children with autism. And we're going to have Dr. Granpeesheh come out and speak with everyone, as well as Dr. Adel Najdowski and Dr. Dennis Dixon. And it's designed to be just a brief overview of ABA and how that can work with children with autism.
Okay, and so it's totally free.
Yes.
Which, that's unheard of. That's unheard of. Usually there's a big cost to go and hear experts talk and have an opportunity to interact with the experts. So free is good. It's unheard of. It's fabulous.
And at the end of the conference, we're going to open it up to question and answer sessions with the entire panel and myself to give parents opportunities to ask specific questions if they would like. Okay, absolutely amazing. Where is it and how do people sign up to, because I assume that they have to RSVP to come to it. Correct. And registration, if you go onto the CARD website, you can register for the event by just clicking the appropriate link that links you to the Baton Rouge conference site.
Okay.
There's more information about the specifics of the event on that site, and it's they can access it through the CARD website.
Okay, so people can go to www.centerforautism.com, and there, I know that there are stuff pretty much rotating on the front page about that, so they can definitely do that. So let's take a second, Kat, and tell us about the fact there's a new office that's opening in Baton Rouge, correct?
Correct. We're really excited, and one of my passions, as well as CARD's passion, is to be able to extend ABA treatment to children with autism that are living in underserved populations. Yes. And so one of our first ventures in trying to accomplish this will be in Baton Rouge. And right now, currently, Baton Rouge only has about 2 agencies providing services to children with autism. And so we're really excited to help all of those underserved children and young adults that have yet to receive treatment or have had very little treatment, and start moving in that direction in the South and other areas where there might not be ABA treatment yet.
It's really very incredible. And again, if people want more information about that office, you can go to centerforautism.com, go to locations tab, and you can click on the Louisiana office to get more information about the location. But tell me a little bit about, is it going to be in-home training or is it going to be a center-based program? What kind of therapy will happen there?
We're actually going to do what we call a blended model, and basically what that means is we're going to provide both in-home treatment as well as center-based treatment. And basically each child will be assessed for what would be the most appropriate types of services for each child. We also plan to extend and create social skills groups, which will be very helpful to teach social skills, as well as potentially offering more parent education workshops. It's my understanding that a lot of the parents out there really just want to know more about ABA and how it helps their children. So we'll be trying to extend more of those to those families as well.
Well, this is a dream come true for many of the families that are in Louisiana. Really exciting. And I imagine if they want to get more information, if they're interested in finding more, that a great thing to do would be to come to that conference.
Yes, exactly. Please come. We're very excited to be holding this conference, and the fact that it's free, the more the merrier. We really are excited to extend CARD to the Louisiana area and hopefully help more and more individuals with autism.
And again, that conference is on what day?
August 24th.
Okay. And if people don't want to wait, I mean, that's a little bit of it's a month away. If people don't want to wait, they're so excited about this and they want to get, on the list so that they can get treatment for their child, still go to that locations tab, or is there a way for them to get directly to you?
Yes. If they go to the locations tab, there should be an address. Otherwise, they can contact me via my email address, and I'm more than happy to get in touch with them further.
Okay. And if you want her email address, you can write to us. I'm not going to put it up on the screen for everybody, but if you want that, you can write to us, and we will make sure that we can hook you up with Kat. Now, people always want to know about insurance, and so I imagine it's the same as it is with all CARD offices. If you're not sure whether your insurance is going to cover this, that the best thing to do is to call the CARD 800 number and get started with that. CARD will look into it for you. Is that correct, Kat?
This is correct. So if they're not sure that they even have ABA coverage, our contracts department, our insurance department is very happy to look into it for them and figure out if they have benefits and what type of benefits they have.
Yeah, and there's nobody better looking it up for you. As I've said before, that contracts department is run by a mom who is an insurance expert whose child recovered from autism. You want somebody in your corner, I'm telling you, Bryce Myler's who you want in your corner. So call that 800 number to find out if your insurance will cover it. It's different in every state, so we can't, and different insurance coverages, so make sure that you call to see. That's the best possible thing to do. So, Kat, I just want to say how exciting it is that you're doing that blended model, because some people want to do the in-home model, and for other people it is life-saving to be able to do that center-based system.
I agree. I completely agree. And it allows us to access, you know, and give services to those parents who may have two working parents.
Yeah.
They can drop off their kid in the morning and then even still receive services in their home, maybe in the late afternoon.
Yeah.
It's a really nice model to be able to service more and more different family models.
Yeah, I refer to it as the bankruptcy-proof ABA model, because you don't have to go bankrupt and quit your jobs to be able to get the treatment for your child that you want to get. So really amazing. And Kat, I know we have to let you go, but before we let you go, I was saying to our viewers that many of them are in a place where they have not been able to get services and they're a little bit downtrodden. What can you tell us? What did the Louisiana people do right? And what can other people in other states that want an ABA provider such as CARD to come to them, what advice do you give them?
My advice is if they're in a place where they do not have ABA treatment and they would like it, reach out to us, reach out to our expansion services department, and we will look at how to figure out how to come to your area.
Yeah.
The best way to start is to get a few families together, maybe 5 to 6 families together that are looking for the same mission, and that's to get an office there. And we will start looking into it further for them and figuring out how to get there.
Awesome. Kate, I'm so excited about this new office, and I hope that once it's open and running that you guys, that we can do a Skype so that we can see some of the facilities and see what's going on there.
Of course. I'm so excited as well, and I really, really can't wait for this opportunity to help more families.
Absolutely. Want to remind our viewers that you can go to centerforautism.com, click on the locations tab. You'll see all the offices that are currently open. You can find the Louisiana office, the Baton Rouge office for more information. And if you'd like Kat's email, you can write to us, and we will be happy to connect you with Kat to do that. And the conference, the free conference which they need to RSVP for, again, is on the 26th of August?
24th. August
24th of August. And you need to RSVP for that. Go to the centerforautism.com and click on that. There's a box there that says RSVP for that conference. It's free. And is there a rumor that there may be childcare at that event?
Yes, we're trying to look into provide child care with some LSU students, actually. So, yes.
That makes me very happy, because that just makes it that much easier for that many people. And I would tell you that if you're a parent and you're wanting to start ABA services, go to that conference. You're going to learn so much. You'll get to meet some really amazing experts. But I wouldn't wait. I would let them know that you're interested in services immediately, because at some point there will be a waiting list, and you don't want to be stuck on the waiting list. Let them know that that's what you need. And Kat, I hope that more people get together with their groups so that you can come to their neighborhood next.
Yes, I do too.
All right. Thank you so much for being with us.
All right. Thank you for having me.
Take care.
Okay, bye.
Bye-bye. Really remarkable when a new office gets to open and more families get to be able to be helped. But you heard her say it happens when you get numbers together. So reach out to your local support group and say, who else here wants to get some ABA? Get yourself 5 families together. There's power in numbers. Very exciting. We're going to take one short break and come back to finish out the show. Stick with us.
Hi, I'm Shannon Penrod, and this is my son, Jem. We're here today at the Home Depot. You might know that Home Depot is famous for giving free classes to adults on lots of things like tiling and other home crafts. Well, they also have free classes for kids as well. It's called the Kids Workshop. We love doing that, don't we, Jem?
Yeah.
It's cool. So come on inside with us and let's do a craft.
Yay.
The Kids Workshop is a program that's been around with Home Depot almost since we've been a company, and it's been developed to allow kids in the community to come in and give them an opportunity to build something, to be able to create something and be able to take just simple wood pieces and put them together with nails and hammers and screwdrivers and then paint them.
So you do this every first Saturday of the month.
Any Home Depot that you go to on the first Saturday of every month between 9 and 12, you can join different associates throughout different stores and build these projects with these kids.
And do they have to do anything beforehand, or can they just show up on that Saturday?
All they need to do is show up. We have all the tools, all the materials that the kids will need. We have aprons that we give to the kids that they can take home and maintain their pins. They get pins on a regular basis for completing projects. With that, they can keep track of how many projects they've done. And
it's all free.
It's all absolutely free, all provided.
Which is wonderful. And Wilson, I have to say, you guys devised this for all kids to be able to do this.
Correct.
What I particularly love about it as an autism mom, it gives my child a place to come and learn a new skill, to socialize with kids of all kinds.
Absolutely. And that's what we're here for. Home Depot is definitely loves to be involved with the community and bring the community in to work with us. That's what we love to do.
Welcome back to Autism Live. We've had a really exciting day here, and I want to give you some programming notes about some of the things that are happening tomorrow. Very exciting show tomorrow. First of all, tomorrow we're going to welcome back Dr. Doreen Granpeesheh. Get her name right? So for Ask Dr. Doreen will actually be here tomorrow. We've been taking your questions. You can be sending them to us right now. So that will be tomorrow morning. And then in the second half of the show, Let's Talk Autism with Shannon and Nancy. Nancy Alspaugh-Jackson will be joining me back in the studio. We've got some really exciting guests, some experts on Fragile X. This is an area of autism that doesn't get a whole lot of attention because it's an area of autism that all of our kids don't qualify for. But if you're a parent who has questions and you've heard Fragile X and you need to know whether your child should get tested for it, we're going to have some experts in here talking about what the specific symptoms of Fragile X are, what to do if you feel like your child should get tested, what that testing, beginning to end, what it's like, and what can be done to help Fragile X. The whole reason why we ask these questions and why we could consider getting our children tested for these things is that there is very specific things that you want to be doing for these different chromosomal aspects that can be autism related and sometimes misdiagnosed. So we'll be talking about Fragile X, and we also have a couple of people who have designed a very specific QR code having to do with autism, and I think it'll be of interest to you. So that's tomorrow on Let's Talk Autism with Shannon and Nancy. We're also going to give you an update on new legislation that's being proposed that would prevent compounding pharmacies from being able to compound. And if you have a child who's on the autism spectrum and you have very specific dietary restrictions or specific biomedical things that you're doing that require a compounding pharmacy to make them for you, there are so many over-the-counter medicines, and even sometimes the antibiotic that you get, it has things in it that aren't good for your child, your individual child, so you have to get it compounded without those things. And because of some mishaps that have happened in compounding pharmacies, there was that case earlier in the year where a bunch of people got spinal meningitis. New legislation is trying to be passed. There are many people that are backing it that would make it tougher for compounding, or if not impossible for compounding pharmacies to do the job that they're doing. We want for people to be safe, but you need to be able to get access to medicines and not have a monopoly on that only one company can do it. It can only make it in one way. So we're going to be talking about that as well tomorrow. On Thursday, we're going to be joined by Ashley Colas for Great Stuff with Ashley, and we will also have BCBA. And by the way, Ashley Colas is now a BCBA. Very excited about that. And we'll also have BCBA Angela Persicki with us. And on Friday, I had confirmation today that we will have Dr. Adel Najdowski and Dr. Jonathan Tarbox with us. Dr. Jonathan Tarbox, we've named his segment Science Beat with Dr. Tarbox, because he tells us about the science behind things and the research behind things, and especially if you have questions about research, that's a great day. Friday's a great day to be sending us those questions. So a very exciting week, and we have some very exciting shows coming up for you in the the coming weeks. We're really trying to hit it hard during this period of time, reminding people that this is it seems like we're in the middle of summer. We're in the dog days of summer all of a sudden, right? And it's all too soon that our kids are going to be going back to school or starting school, and that this is a key time for us to be making sure that we're setting them up for success. We had that wonderful teacher on, Elizabeth Duget, the other day, and she talked about that was her whole mantra in the classroom, setting our kids up for success. So I think we should adopt that as well and make sure that we're getting things done now so it's not last minute. In any case, we're at the end of the show here. Emily's going to start to show you some of the different ways that you can connect with us here. And I'm going to remind you that today is a great day to go and subscribe to our YouTube page. If we get over 1,000 subscribers on the YouTube page, we're going to be able to stream live to you from YouTube, which means you're going to be able to watch us live on your tablets. I know you guys have been clamoring for that. You've been asking for it, and we've found the way to do it. It's not going to cost you anything, but we need you to tell your friends, ask your family members, write to your child's teacher and say, hey, I need you to subscribe to this page so that I can get this for free on my tablet. So go there. Also go to our Facebook page right now. We're running a contest. You can win a bottle of One Hope wine. You can win a copy of Temple Grandin's new book, The Autistic Brain. And you can also win a fabulous game that our kids on the spectrum love. It's called Cornered. It's put out by Endless Games. You can win the entire package. The way that you do that is by going to our Facebook page, find the post that has to do with those 3 prizes, share it on your Facebook page, and encourage people to subscribe to our YouTube page. That's the way that this is going to get done. It's a very exciting turn of events, and we hope to be able to bring that to you as soon as possible, so help us out. Remind you again, tomorrow, Ask Dr. Doreen and Let's Talk Autism with Shannon and Nancy. I will see you tomorrow at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, 1 p.m. Eastern Time. Until then, please give your kiddos a hug from me. Bye-bye for now.